everyone, and welcome back to MVP Mindset.
Today with us we have a really special guest, Ashleigh Scully. Present to our audience who you are and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so my name is Ashleigh Scully. I'm a fifth-year grad student on TCU's equestrian team. My undergrad major was English, and now I'm getting my master's in literature. And yeah, that sums me up this year.
Super awesome. Yeah. So 5th year, that's a lot of experience both in athletics and in school. So how has the beginning of your 5th year been so far?
It's been good. I got off to a rough start actually. Second day of practice, I got bucked off and I fractured my elbow and my shoulder.
No way.
So that was like a bit of a setback, but luckily we had a really great team in sports med that helped me rehab pretty quick. So I was back the week of our first meet, and yeah, had a really great first month to our season, especially in one of my events, fences. I compete on the English side of the equestrian team, so I compete in fences and flat, and yeah, we had a really tough schedule this year. It just ended last Friday. We had about 8 meets, and a lot of them were away. So it was a big challenge for us, and a challenge for us to compete tired and to hopefully keep the fire burning when we start again in January, because then we have postseason March and April.
Well, that's brutal.
Yeah.
I feel like now your body is like,
oh, I know. I'm like,
you're gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be done for the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You started your own company a couple years ago, or maybe more than a couple years ago. So would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So I'm a wildlife conservation photographer. I started photography when I was 8 years old. My grandparents.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like 8 years old.
Thank you.
Ashley, that's so
I know. I was so little and nerdy and weird. And my grandparents got me a camera for my 8th birthday. And my family's very outdoorsy, and I grew up in more of the countryside of northern New Jersey. And my brother used to help me collect all these kinds of frogs, snakes, and turtles, and he would pose them on little plants for me so I could take pictures of them, and I would upload them to this site called National Geographic My Shot. And at the time, it was an opportunity for a lot of young aspiring photographers to upload to this platform where the Nat Geo Kids editors could go and give your photos little online awards and stuff. And if you were lucky, your photos could make it into the back of the magazine.
Good, I guess. Too.
Yeah. So over the years, once I started submitting more and more, I got a couple photos in the back of the Nat Geo Kids magazines, which was really special. And my passion for photography grew from there. And my parents were very, very supportive of the journey, and from there I started entering larger competitions, more world-renowned ones, and that helped me get a lot of connections and mentors over the years, and I got my photos into a couple of cool museums too, so just a lot of great experiences leading up to college, but it was a very separate life from everything that I lived at home. I always kept my worlds very separate and didn't really connect them much until I came to school.
And we see all over your social media that you had super cool travels. Will you tell us a little bit about how you got into just so many different places and how that's kind of impacted you being here now, growth and everything?
Yeah, so my parents love to live by this quote that they heard called, "Don't ever let school interfere with your child's education." And so at any given opportunity, I was kind of sent off. And I was like, Mom and Dad, I'd really love to go here. And at the time, I started to already make a profit off of my photographs. I started selling them when I was 12, and I would donate a lot of the proceeds to nonprofit organizations supporting wildlife conservation, whether that was raptor rehabilitation or the rehabilitation of mangy or foxes that have been hit by cars on the side of the road, or ocean conservation, whatever it was. And so, like I said, because my parents were also so outdoorsy and also very supportive of me, a lot of my travels were either by myself or with one of my parents. And I think it was my freshman year of high school, I went to Tanzania with my mom for almost a month. That's been very much my life, is just balancing one thing after another, and with time management and discipline and the right mindset, I've really been able to kind of balance everything correctly. But I've been to some cool places. The most recent one vacation, my dad and I went to Svalbard, which is an island archipelago. It's about, I think, 500 kilometers north of the mainland of Norway. And so it's way up in the Arctic Circle, like about 78 degrees north, so just shy of the North Pole. And my dad's side historically is from Norway, so it was a really like important trip for the both of us to go on. And I remember as soon as I landed, I think we landed in we started in Oslo, and just walking around the airport, I was like, I'm in the land of my people. Like, I was like,
so
I wasn't
cool.
the tallest one there, you know, like I wasn't getting weird looks for being how tall I was or whatever. And
you feel really well in these countries.
Yeah, but I went to photograph polar bears. So we spent 2 weeks on like a Swedish ice pushing ship up there.
You need to show us picture afterwards, because that has to be amazing.
I will. It was the most unreal experience, and I hadn't been on a photography trip in a long time leading up to that, so that kind of really re-sparked my love for it.
Is environmentalism a big push for you to continue educating people, it sounds like?
Yeah, mostly like, especially with conservation issues and ocean conservation, that was a big one for me. I partnered up with this company this past June, and they asked like 100 photographers from around the world to come together and promote this fundraiser and this campaign called 100 for the Ocean. And we each donated a photo or two of ours to the organization, and they had this huge fundraiser where they sold them like they had so many different sized prints for them, and then all these beautiful frames, and they would take all of the money afterwards and send them to these 3 different nonprofit organizations that supported ocean conservation. So after the month was over, we had to spend a lot of time like promoting it on social media. So I don't love to like show my face on my photography account very much, but they were really pushing me to do reels and engage with my platform. I posted a reel when I came back from Svalbard, and my platform really took off on that account. So they really wanted me to use that to its potential. And so by the time the month concluded, we'd raised about 400 grand, which was really amazing for
amazing.
Yeah, thanks. So it felt good to feel like I was a part of something, you know, big, and something that was actually like helping and creating change. So
And you mentioned before that when you were starting, all the profit that you were generating were going to different donations and different companies or organizations.
yes.
How was that raise? How you raise those profit?
Give the proceeds to this raptor rehabilitation center in our town that I worked with growing up. And that was a big way that I made profits, was through my website, especially after that reel took off. Everyone just went straight to my website, like the little link in my Instagram bio. So sales really went through the roof there, which was helpful. But the biggest way that I've been able to make a profit is through gallery shows. If I have a gallery that express interest in selling my work.
I almost forgot. You're also an athlete. At the same time, you're doing all these insane things. How was balancing? I mean, you said that reel went crazy. So balancing your personal brand, balancing your professional, your art, and then also your sport. How was that?
Probably one of my most difficult times was around August, September of last year, which was my senior year. I started my master's a year early, so in my senior year, so that I could just have it done by the end of my 5th year. And that's right around the time I came back from Svalbard. I posted that reel thinking nothing of it. I was just told, oh, you should like get more into reels, you know, like that's how people are gaining a following.
The engagement going there.
I had around 9,000 followers at the time, and I was just like, oh, you know, like, okay. And so I would use the little templates on Instagram to create cool little reels of all the ice and polar bears and seals that I was seeing up there. And then I was like, I feel like the story isn't really reaching people. I'm going to try and find one that people might be able to connect more with. So like grab this photo of like 8-year-old me in Alaska, like with my camera, like all excited. And then like a photo of me photographing now. And then I was like, oh, I started photography when I was 8. This is me now. Here's some of my photos. And that's the one that like blew up. And it got like 12 million views. And
yeah.
But my following went from 9,000 to like 180,000 in like 2 weeks. And it was the first time in my life where like all of the comments were like like inspiring and positive. Like I'd done a campaign when I was in 8th grade through like Ellen DeGeneres and Gap to help promote girl power and like girls with like interesting passions and hobbies. And the backlash from it was like horrible. And so I took like a long break from like putting myself out there in any regard on social media. Like even like personally, I just like fully focused on riding. I was like, now I'm going to focus on just getting recruited for riding and like living my life from there.
So you're gonna go in this on the side, your business, and just leave it there. Like whoever wanted to go to your website because he found it, he would go.
And so that's why like this reel meant so much to me, because the amount of positive feedback that I got and people that actually felt inspired by it. So I was like, oh, like I could really kind of make something out of this. And so while all that was going on, I was getting like tens and thousands of DMs of like people being like, hi, like I'm a 15-year-old photographer, like do you have any advice on how to get started? But I'm also starting my senior season on the team, and I'm starting like a master's in literature, and I have no idea what I'm getting into, and I'm still doing my undergrad classes at the same time. So that was like, I really had to take a breath and be like, I don't know how I'm supposed to handle all of this. For me, like that semester, I was super like honed in on my academics and starting my thesis and everything, and I dedicated so much time and mental energy to it. I left no time for myself or to take care of myself. So that's been one of like my big philosophies this year, is that now that I have more time on my hands, I only have 2 classes in my thesis going on, I have more of a grasp on my photography platform and like what I want to do with it. So I prioritize like the time management and discipline that I always have, but now self-care is like huge for me.
How young we are, that if we build what you're building right now, like I said, I know many people knows how your mind works. For example, how you said, now like my mind works in the sense of, if I have to do this, I'm gonna go 100%, and you know it, and it's not right or wrong, it's just the way that you work, but knowing it is a step ahead that you are on the game for your future self too.
Yeah, I've tried to be like a mentor to like a couple of people who have like stood out and I've conversed with like even still, because you know, to me like having a female idol in the industry was so important to me when I was younger, and I was lucky to find a couple, but it's such a male dominated industry. And I've had so many like amazing people who have like guided me through it and everything over the years and are still there for me. And you know, a couple of them were a part of me being in that 100 for the Ocean campaign in June, you know, so I think people recognizing like that I am balancing a lot, but me also like still giving when I have the opportunity, I think has kind of helped kind of even everything out.
That's so amazing, Ashleigh. You're awesome. I don't know if anyone told you, but you're awesome.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
Yes. So maybe switching gears here, in the podcast we also talk a little bit about NIL. So how has been your experience with NIL?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty cool to see the different opportunities that it's brought so many athletes. One thing that I did really love doing is I took the NIL class at TCU, and that was a great chance for me to be able to learn how to like build my brand and market myself. And ironically, it was also at the time the reel was blowing up. So that was another way I was able to learn how to like kind of figure it out and organize everything that I had going on. And I remember at the end, she had us all like give this presentation on who we were and our brand and, you know, what we stood for and how we wanted to market ourselves and our passions and our sports. And of course, not everybody in the class was an athlete. But I was like, I went up to the professor and I was like, we only have 5 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to split my life in 2 for this presentation. And so I was able to talk to the class about like my photography journey, which I never talk about much in general. And so it was nice to be able to kind of open that part of my life back up. And then talked about riding and more kind of riding stats. And a couple of boys like in the class came up to me after who I didn't really know, and they were like, you know, oh my goodness, I had no idea, you know, what your sport like even meant or entailed, but it made sense to me as soon as I saw the stats. So just like the different ways in which people were able to connect with what I was talking about, I really enjoyed, and everybody loved the photography stuff. I would have random people come up to me like in months after being like, I was in that class and like I saw like I started following your photography, you know, and I mean this means the world to me, you know, like I wish that I could go back and tell my younger self that like this would be the feedback that I'd be getting, because you know, like I was such a little geek and nerd. I was like sitting in a tent in my front yard, like waiting to photograph foxes, or like
the passion that you didn't even know that you had a passion for it.
Yeah, so that was like a big part of my NIL journey, is like sticking to my guns and sticking with what I was passionate about, like no matter what anybody said. Because like my whole life I've done like the 3 things that I've loved doing. Like I started riding at 4, I started photography at 8, but I'd always loved animals and wildlife before that. And then I've always been like a writer. Like I've always journaled and written, and like English major, literature masters. So yeah.
So everything is connected.
Yeah, everything's connecting now.
And I think that's the coolest part about NIL, because NIL is you growing your personal brand. So I think that's a really cool opportunity for you to be able to integrate, like, hey, I'm a student athlete, but I can participate in NIL because I have such a strong brand with this professional thing that I've been working on since I was 8. So that's a really, really cool integration that I feel like most people don't have an opportunity to do, because they don't have those strong passions like you've had for so long.
And I think like because we both took also the NIL class, and one of the main things when you're building your brand or you're building your personal identity is find your passion, no? Yes. And even just not with personal brand, also with in different entrepreneurship classes that we are, is just find your passion and then build your company or build your brand from it. So, and I would say like we find many people that struggle with it. You are like, maybe I have my sport, but that's it. Like I don't know what else I am. Like I don't know who I am beside my sport. And you figure out like that from a young age, and being able to also carry through the years is amazing.
Yeah, and I try to use it to like inspire people to find those passions that they may not know about. I mean, there's still things like I'm discovering about myself, like as I go and throughout that journey and everything. And so I've really tried to use it to help guide other people. And I think one of the most important things, and also carrying over all the other passions that I have in like my brand and NIL and everything, is that the competitive mindset that it takes to be a Division I athlete carries you through life. I was like, it helps you block out whatever else anybody could be saying. It allows you to have confidence in yourself and your abilities, like athletically, but also like socially, academically, and all these other parts of your life. And so to me, like, it's really helped build my confidence.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Have you ever considered looking for NIL deals with like camera companies or something like that?
I got a brand deal offer from Nikon to do like a commercial, but I didn't shoot Nikon. I was like a loyal Canon gal my whole life. So I gave a reference to one of my friends in the industry, and then he did it. And I've done like cool partnerships. I think it was my junior year, I partnered with Discovery for a week to promote Women's History Month, which was really cool. I had no idea it was coming, but that was an exciting opportunity. I sent them a bunch of my different photographs and captions for each, and then they were reposting them on their account for about a week. And so it was really cool. But I've been able to work with like big companies and brands like that. But as far as like my own personal brand, I would love to. It just depends where my path ends up taking me after school. So I've always wanted, like, if I ended up working somewhere in the polar regions and doing more kind of Arctic kind of conservation photography, I'm like, I'd love to be sponsored by like Arc'teryx or North Face, or like one of the clothing brands, because like I love dressing up, I love style and fashion, and I'm like, if I could get one of those companies like on my side, it'd be really cool.
Well, we have one final question. That's our favorite, and we ask it to all the people that come on. But it's, what does MVP mindset mean to you?
I guess it would be, the things that I prioritize most in all the different areas of life that I balance. So like the 3 things that I talked about earlier is like time management and being on top of everything, like especially sleep. That's been huge. That was a big life lesson for me in college, is like, sleep is important. Do not take it for granted.
And 15-minute naps.
15-minute naps every single day. I'm telling you, it's a total game changer. It's a total game changer. I will stand by that forever. But time management and like discipline. It's like being grounded in what you do, but also having the like competitive mindset and confidence to be able to like carry yourself through it. So if you experience any like unexpected obstacles or hurdles or anything, that you're able to just get through them with ease. And it's okay if like you have setbacks, you know, it's not just like a skill that's constantly going up. There are going to be bumps along the way. That is like what goes into like my everyday mindset kind of thing, is like prioritizing like what's important, but first recognizing like what's important in my life first.
Snaps.
Yeah. So
you couldn't tell us better. That was awesome.
Amazing. Well, it was so awesome having you on. We really
thank you for having me.
It was amazing to learn about you.
Yeah.
You were
Thanks.
awesome.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
she's awesome.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
No, thank you for coming. It was a pleasure.
If you guys liked what you saw, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!